Hello guys, today we'll be talking about prime lenses. What are these? Why you should buy one as a beginner? Make sure to like and subscribe to my channel if you're into cinematography, photography or anything like that. You'll never regret it. This is a small lens and this is what we will be talking about. So the question is that what are prime lenses? Prime lenses are these small lenses which have a fixed focal length. So they don't have two rings like your normal lenses, they only have one that goes around 1.4 or 1.8 as this one. This is a Nikon 35mm f1.8. So why should you buy something like this rather than something which may look as good as this lens, which is really big and like everyone likes these lenses. You might have seen as a beginner, as a professional, someone carry this big lens and you'll be just sitting around with this one. Then why you should buy this one as a beginner and your first lens? First of all, coming to the price, this one goes for around $150 to $200 and this one for $1,400. So that's a really big price difference and the size difference. So yeah, as a beginner you don't have this much money to buy a lens like this, so I think this is what you should take. Basically the uses of these two are really different. This one can be used for portraiture mostly and art photography and sometimes architecture too, when you want to show something really in focus and everything else blurred out. But this is basically for wildlife. This is a telephoto lens and this is used for wildlife when you need to completely zoom into something and from a mile away you need to just get a bird in the frame. So this is used for that. And as a beginner, no one starts with wildlife photography, and if you do then you can, but I won't suggest that to start with wildlife photography as a beginner. First, let's talk about the aperture range. This one goes to the lowest as 1.8, many have 1.4, and Nikon just announced a 0.95 for their latest mount, the Z mount. But right now the lowest I think goes till 1.4. So what does this mean? Aperture is basically the opening inside the lens. So as wide it goes, this makes the Instagram shots. Basically you get like complete delicious bokeh behind your subject. This can be used for product photography, for portraiture, and this is like really good. And why should you go for a prime lens that it can't even zoom in or zoom out? The productivity is really less. But I think that as a photographer you should buy one prime lens, as this makes you get you out of your comfort zone. The legs only control the main focal length, as in how wide you can wide you can go and how telephoto or cropped you can go. So this makes you get up and go out of your comfort zone. So as a beginner you need to understand most of the angles, when you should go wide or when you should go even tighter into the frame. So a prime lens really helps you to understand and also make you flexible. Basically you can shoot in any conditions using a prime lens. As it has a wider aperture, you can use it for night photography, as more and more of light is entering through a bigger hole which is inside the lens, and you can get no handshakes in photos rather than using something like a stock lens which has only, for example, f3.5, which is something really smaller than this big aperture. So that will result in camera shake and less light entering the sensor, which you might have to fix in post or something if you're not good at it. Don't try like that. But what I'm trying to say is that this will help you in almost any circumstance as a beginner, and it's really great if you don't have much money. So as it has a really wide aperture, it's guaranteed that you will get a really great subject isolation. You want the subject as being a model, for instance, you'll get a really great subject isolation from the background. Product photography, you want the particular product, a particular watch or a particular coffee brand, something like this. This will guarantee that everything else is blurred out and only the depth of field is what we call this, in the language of photography, and you'll get a really less depth of field. So a particular person or a particular product will only be in focus and everything else will be blurred out. So the question is that why should you buy a prime lens? Nahi, that's aperture, as you can see inside. So these are mainly used for portraits, and the start कर दिया? अच्छा.
क्या बकवास कर रहे हो?
अच्छा.